reporting mask and vaccine mandates are on the rise as government officials pressure the unvaccinated to get their shots. In just hours, an order in California will go into effect, which will require anyone visiting a loved one in the hospital, and I think nursing facilities as well, longer-term care, to be vaccinated or provide proof of a negative test within 72 hours of that visit. Let's discuss these new mandates and more with tonight's Dream Team panel. Fox News contributors Leslie Marshall, Dr. Jeanette Nesheiwat, and Jason Chaffetz. Welcome back to all of you.
Hey, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
Okay, somebody who also is a familiar face here on Fox News is Dr. Marty Makary. He's got a piece about, as we are covering all these board meetings tonight with students and parents fighting about mask mandates in schools, there are all these legal challenges in state after state. Dr. Makary and Cody Meisner wrote a piece about the fact that he says there's no science for masking kids. He says this: public health officials claim to base their decisions and guidance on science, but there's no science behind mask mandates for children. Before we order the masking of 56 million Americans who are too young to vote and don't have a lobby, let's see data showing the benefits and weigh them against the long-term harm. Jason, these battles are ongoing.
They are ongoing, and the administration continues to make the mistake by not releasing the data, then stating the policy. They state the policy, and then they hope to go scramble to find something. I just believe in self-determination. I think parents are in the best position with their medical professionals to make the best decisions for their children. I don't need some government bureaucrat telling me what's best and not best. And the government over the last 18 to 24 months has just flipped and flopped. I don't believe Dr. Fauci. I don't think he should be there anymore. I don't think the country has belief in the guy, and I want parents to make these decisions, not a federal bureaucrat.
Well, and Doctor, it sounds like there is growing frustration across the political spectrum about people who say they're confused by the CDC, by the administration, by different guidance that they get. The Federalist is warning parents this: it's only a matter of time before the CDC shuts down your child's school, saying, like, don't get used to the fact that they're actually going to go back, that says keep your school supply receipts because it won't be long before the CDC flip-flops again to satisfy the demands of people who don't have your child's best interest in mind. It gets to that point that Jason was making, that, you know, people want to see the data. They want to be able to trust these decisions that you're making. But frankly, they're feeling very confused, Doctor.
Yeah, this sends out the wrong message. We need clarity. We need consistency in our messaging. And the fact that people are even talking about lockdowns and shutting down schools should be completely off the table. When kids are not in school, it's not only a matter of loss of education. They end up being withdrawn. They are isolated. They suffer from mental and emotional distress. So it really can have a long-term negative psychosocial impact on them. Look, we know what to do to get kids in the classroom safely. It's easy. All you need is a health safety action plan in place. Vaccinations, masks for those who can't be vaccinated, and good ventilation systems. That's all you need, and we need to do everything in our power to make sure we get our children back in the classroom.
Yeah, and Leslie, with all of those downsides and the spike in suicides and emotional and mental distress and drug use and the things that we've seen, you got to balance that against the rest of the equation. NPR is going through some of the numbers and dealing with kids and talking about the fact that, listen, it's very real. We have to take it seriously, but let's have some perspective. They say since the pandemic began a year and a half ago, approximately 4.2 million children have tested positive for the coronavirus. I believe this is just in the U.S. They say the good news is that severe illness and death are still uncommon for kids who've contracted the virus. As of July 29th, a total of 358 children in all of the U.S. have reportedly been killed by COVID-19. And, you know what it's like to lose a child. No one wants anyone to suffer something horrific like that. But to balance it against those other harms to kids, how do we find the right balance?
I think by looking at other numbers as well. How many children right now are on life support? How many children right now are in the ICU? The Delta variant is hitting children and younger population members more so than originally the COVID-19. Look, my kids are 13 and 14. Had to stop for a moment. They grow so fast. They're vaccinated. They're going to return to school. When they return to school, they have to provide a negative COVID test, and they might still have to wear masks because some of the parents have chosen not to vaccinate their children. Remember, if you're wearing a mask, it's not just for your protection, it's for somebody else's protection. This is constantly fluid. This is a virus that continues, as we see, to mutate. I don't think, for my children, I would agree with the doctor that, there's more psychological damage to the children just from a parent perspective here, keeping them home. wearing the masks, not a problem for my children and most of the children that they come into contact with. And until we can get this behind us or reach that magic number where the virus doesn't have as many people to latch onto, I don't think it's quite frankly too much to ask. And the CDC doesn't make that decision. The states do, and the local school districts do with the parents, the teachers, and the school boards.
Yeah, but Jason, we know that when the CDC makes recommendations, a lot of people are going to fall in line and be able to point to that and say, well, maybe it's a recommendation, but for us, it's going to turn into a requirement. So that gets back to the point of us being able to trust the CDC.
Yeah, and I don't trust them at this point because they have flipped and they flopped. I think if the administration was serious, they'd move along with Dr. Fauci. I would also point to the United States Congress. The Democrats have the House and the Senate. Why is there not a single lead investigation into the origins of the coronavirus? Why are the Democrats not even interested in how this thing started? That is just, I mean, it's absolutely malpractice on their part. There are a lot of suspicions about what the CDC, were they or were they not complicit in actually funding some of this original research? I think it's a legitimate question, and Congress should be looking at it, not just saying, oh, well, the administration's looking at it, we'll see what they find. That has never been the case in Congress. So there's a lot more to do, but I don't trust the CDC at this point.
Well,
and I want to make that decision with my doctor, not the CDC.
Well, let's hope that there is a bipartisan will to get those answers, because it will impact how we treat this virus and handle others in the future. It's critical information. Let's hope they get to the bottom of it. All right, thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Shannon.
you.